Ever since I made my first video about Guild Wars 2, this comment has been sitting in my brain, whispering to me, beckoning me, goading me. I've always wanted to give it a go, but just never got around to it. I even bought it when it was on sale on Steam, so it's just been sitting there waiting for me to boot it up. So what am I waiting for? What has been holding me back? What if I don't actually like it? Well, there's only one way to find out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the game and its release and my experience with it as someone that loves the franchise but didn't play it the first time around, and make the case for why I think that playing Guild Wars 2 first actually makes Guild Wars a more enjoyable experience. But first, chin that like button, slap subscribe and elbow drop that bell. Now let's get into it. Back in the mid-2000s, mmorpgs were beginning to gather pace and popularity. Games like Ultima Online, EverQuest and RuneScape had already been out for a few years, and come late 2004, World of Warcraft entered the scene and changed things forever. And not long behind it came Guild Wars. Developed by ArenaNet and a handful of known characters within the genre, and backed by NCSoft money, Guild Wars bore many similarities to WoW, but as I would come to learn from my love affair with its sequel, did things slightly different. I myself heard of the game in the years following WoW's release from a friend who had it, and he described its pay once, play forever business model. It wasn't truly an MMORPG, in the same sense as other subscription-based MMORPGs, but more of an online RPG. To be honest, I think I just kind of looked at the box and the screenshots on the back and viewed it as like a kind of budget World of Warcraft you'd find in the middle aisle of Lidl. The World of Warcraft we had at home, if you will. Visually, it didn't sing to me and I didn't have the opportunity to play it back then, so I just moved on with my life and forgot about it. And then much later in my life, along came Guild Wars 2. So when I first started playing Guild Wars 2, I instantly fell in love with the world of Tyria. Not that I started digging into lore or anything, more just sort of I liked the look of it and looking around the world, which was familiar within its fantasy roots but slightly unique and a little different with its mixing of technology, swords and wizardry in a sort of mad high fantasy setting. Over the years I would gently just absorb bits and pieces of lore as I worked my way through the various expansions and playable areas. The fun fact is that even though I hadn't played Guild Wars, the first one, I actually own a physical copy of it. Months after I'd started playing its sequel, I found myself in a charity shop where I had donated some old stuff, and me and my partner were just sort of mooching around and looking at the shelf with the old VHS tapes of Friends episodes and DVDs of 90s films that have now fallen out of favour, and there it was, just sitting there. It was a £5 and it sort of felt like destiny that should just turn up there at that time. I had no way of playing that version as I don't actually have a CD drive on any of my PCs. These days, who the fuck does? But I purchased it and took it home, and now it sits on my shelf as a sort of holy relic. Every now and then, I would just get the thick manual out and absent-mindedly flick through it. Truly a relic of how things were. That's right kids, games came with fucking books. I never had any real intention of playing it. As I said, I bought it in a Steam sale as well, but even that really doesn't mean I was actually going to play it. Me buying a heavily discounted game on Steam still doesn't guarantee I'm going to play it. I need only look at my game library to know that. But after that comment and the game having matured in my digital wine cellar as it were, it was time to pop the cork on this fine vintage and take a great big gulp. And I'd be lying if I said that it blew me away. Yeah, it didn't. It is an old game. It's dated in many ways from its looks to its mechanics, but I wasn't really playing it for it to necessarily be good. I was playing it as a curiosity. But the classics are classics for a reason, and despite the dated elements, I started to see the beauty that lay within, and after sticking with it, I started to enjoy the way it actually played. It is night and day between this and its sequel, but again, it has its own charm. So let me explain a little about it for those that don't know. Guild Wars is an online RPG. To my mind, it sort of plays somewhere between RuneScape and World of Warcraft, or at least that is how I played it. It starts performing many of the same gameplay tropes as a lot of its competitors, but very quickly starts to diverge, providing more choices for the player to build their character. Like other games, you can choose your class, but wait, you don't just get one class, you get to choose another.
You buy one, you get one free. I said, you buy one, you get one free.
As you go through the game doing quests for people, you'll earn new skills from these different classes, or professions as they are properly known in game, and mix and match which skills you add to your hotbar of 8 possible skills. I went for what I dubbed the Beastmaster build, Hot Chad and his fierce pussy, just like the totally not gay film from the 80s. He also sort of looks like that fella who starred in the remake of one of my favourite childhood films which shattered my dreams and taught me to trust no one ever again. Quick tangent, I used to always say, why the fuck are you remaking bloody Alfie when you should be remaking films like Clash of the Titans, which is a film that would actually benefit from the advances in special effects since the original was made. Boy was I wrong. Just another example of how a certain word beginning with C ruins everything. But you gotta get that brand name recognition, so, you know. Anyway, back to the game. Not only can you choose your skills from your mix and match assortment, you can spend experience points to boost certain stats, and certain stats are directly linked to the abilities on your hotbar. So you can pump points into certain skills, as it were, and then create your build around them. I put equal stats into my axe mastery and my animal companion, so I could sort of have like a passive damage over time from my fluffy cat friend. But wait, the fun doesn't end there. You also get to use henchmen. You can't change their setup, but you can select from a range of different classes and take them out into the field with you. So healer, warrior, mage, etc. You get to bowl about with your posse, beating down chumps. They see you rolling, they be hating, but you be smacking them in the face with your axe. Originally, the henchmen would have been filled by actual human players, but they brought in henchmen to allow you to adventure solo, and anyone that knows me knows that I love to play with myself. I honestly thought that I would just run about a bit and sort of think, well, this is quaint, look at how they used to do it back in the day. But I found a playstyle that sort of worked with the slower pace of OG Guild Wars. That being that I essentially played it one-handed. No, I wasn't playing with myself. I just like a game that I can sort of relax and slouch in my chair with one hand on the mouse. I would use click to move and then just turn the camera to look about, but never used WASD or even pushed my skills with my other hand, as I just clicked everything with the mouse. It's the same reason as I really love playing Teamfight Tactics or Loop Hero or something, but this was even better because I was kind of playing an MMORPG, sort of, and I found that quite compelling. But before long I found myself thinking, I'm still playing this. And then 10 hours turned into 20, and then turned into 30, and so on. And just because I paint this picture of me lazily playing one-handed, slouched at my desk, slowly destroying my spine and securing my future as a Quasimodo, don't think that this game is without a challenge. I got my shit pushed in all the time. I had to go and do some grinding to get iron ingots to then craft some new gear, so I was just a little bit tougher. Yes, I probably made things harder for myself by not doing all the quests in the starting zone before I impatiently told the fella to get the fuck out of my way and let me at the rest of the game, but even so it is challenging and enjoyable, even if it does get a little infuriating at times. When in combat, you have to sort of identify who to kill first out of a pack, because otherwise you will waste precious time and effort hacking away at some fat chonk only to realise that the cat wizard behind him has been gleefully healing them all along. Sometimes you find yourself fighting a couple of healers and you just have to hope that you can hang in there and get off a good burst of damage to break through their health regeneration. But anyway, it is a genuine challenge. But let's go back a moment to what I was saying about the beginning of the game, because I think that how the story begins and then continues from there is one of the most important things for me, and the part that I found myself enjoying the most. When the game starts, you are starting in the past in Ascalon on the day that the kingdom will fall to a Char attack. So the whole beginning area is you running around and doing little quests and proving yourself to the king so that you can then join the battle against the Char. I have watched and read other people talking about how it is important to do all the quests and pick up all the XP you can and any items you may need for the rest of the game, because once you go to the quest giver that ushers you into the fight with the Char, you will be told that there is no going back. And indeed, once you start that quest, it ultimately ends with the Char summoning magic nukes on the kingdom and fucking everyone's shit up. The next thing you know, you are 2 years in the future and the pleasant green land you knew previously is now a dusty wasteland. And so begins the story of how the humans were forced out of Ascalon and travelled across the Shiver Peaks and into Kryta and to a new home, meeting dwarves and other friends and enemies along the way. And this is the part that I found the most compelling to me as a Guild Wars 2 player. Playing this game after playing Guild Wars 2 is like opening a history book or going to a museum. It was genuinely interesting going through certain areas and going, hey, I know this area from Guild Wars 2. And then finding out exactly how everything unfolded in the past. Asking myself questions like, where the hell did the dwarves go? And what is the deal with the Char? Not only did Guild Wars tell this compelling story of a journey of a race displaced, it also piqued my curiosity to look into some lore. I found some excellent long-form videos on YouTube taking me through the prehistory and the story of the original game, as well as leading me into where we are with Guild Wars 2. I knew that the Char were at war with the humans in the past, but I didn't know that the humans had come along and displaced the Char in the first place. So can you blame the Char for nuking the humans? At the same time, you find out that the prehistoric Char essentially displaced the Gruul, who were a tribal race living in the area before them, so perhaps that fact went some way to allowing the Char and the humans to squash their beefs. Maybe they realised they were both arseholes. It is this aspect, the ability to look into the past, that provides the most fun for me. I got quite excited when I was reading that the 2 expansions were set in Cantha and Elona, but when I went to start a new character to experience them, I was cock-blocked by the fact that I hadn't actually bought the full bundle version. I'd only bought the Game of the Year version when it was on sale, so I only had the base game. I went to look for the other 2 expansions in Steam because I wanted to get access to those, but each one cost 18 quid each, which seems a little steep for such an old game. Like, sure, you get a lot of content, but it is old. Part of me feels like there shouldn't even be separate options for this. There should just be one full version with everything. Like, you can get the full bundle for 20 quid, and I did consider just buying that again, as it would technically be half the price of me buying both expansions, but I just resigned myself to add them both to my wish list and then waiting for them to be discounted at some point in the future. It is by no way the worst monetary practice in the world, full of shitty monetary practices, but it still left a little bad taste in my mouth, and it kind of put the brakes on me continuing my adventure into the past. I can't imagine what it would be like for people that played this game the first time round and then moved into the sequel, what with the jump forward in time and the vast difference in gameplay and stuff. Maybe those people had a similar sense of wonder looking at what became of all the things they enjoyed about the original. But for me, as a Guild Wars 2 player, I think my experience was increased immeasurably by the ability to gently and casually travel into the past and see what came before, and that really elevated it for me. Even though the game is dated and the gameplay isn't as fluid as its sequel, it is worth playing, and I will continue to dip in and out to finish off the story of Barry Beefnut the Beastmaster Chad, enjoying that more slower paced playstyle. And I think that Guild Wars has now given me the push I need to explore more of the lore and perhaps get my hands on some of the books and find out more about the world of Tyria. I think ultimately it is a testament to all those involved with its original development, all those at ArenaNet that have committed to keeping the game servers up and operable, and the fact that the gameplay still holds up and that people are still playing it to this very day, to what an excellent and beloved game Guild Wars is. So here's to Guild Wars. Long may it last.